Lyra, the princess of a distant star system, had always known her duty. As the heir to her people, she was expected to unite the galaxy's fractured worlds under one banner. She was a powerful leader, respected by many. But despite all her strength and wisdom, there was one thing she could not control: the expectations of marriage. For generations, her family had ruled with an iron fist. Their power came from their ability to forge alliances, and Lyra knew that her marriage would be the key to securing her empire's future. She needed to choose a partner wisely, someone who would not only strengthen her rule but also earn the respect of the various alien species scattered across the galaxy.
Over the years, Lyra had turned down countless suitors.
Each one failed to meet her high standards. She sought a partner who understood her position, someone who could match her intellect and strength. But no matter how many candidates were brought before her, none were worthy. None had the right balance of respect, ambition, and power. As time passed, the pressure grew. Her people, already restless with the instability of the galaxy, began to demand results. The Council of Elders, who had always been her advisors, became more insistent. "You must choose," they urged. "The galaxy cannot wait forever." And so, Lyra began to send out marriage proposals to the most respected leaders across the galaxy. They were powerful, influential beings, alien monarchs, generals, and scholars. They were the cream of the galaxy's crop, the ones who could give her empire the strength it needed. Her first proposal went to a powerful warlord from the Xenar system. His fleet was feared across the galaxy, and his resources were vast. Lyra thought he would be the perfect match. But when he received her offer, he rejected it without a second thought. "A union with you would weaken my hold on power," he had written in his response.
"You are not worthy of my time." Lyra's heart sank as the message burned in her hands. It was the first rejection of many.
The next proposal went to a renowned diplomat from the Rethian Alliance. His people were known for their wisdom and peaceful ways. Lyra had hoped that his calm nature would complement her own forceful leadership. But once again, she was met with a cold response. "I cannot marry you," he had written. "You are too focused on power." "I seek a union of peace, not war." Each rejection left a mark on Lyra's pride. But she did not give up. She sent proposals to alien scholars, respected warriors, and even influential traders. Each time she believed this one would be the right match, but each time she was rejected. "You are too much of a ruler," one said. "You need someone with less ambition." Another called her too cold, saying, "You lack the warmth necessary for true partnership." Soon, word of her rejection spread across the galaxy. The once respected princess had become the subject of ridicule. The galaxy, once in awe of her strength, now saw her as a failure. The whispers in the halls of her palace grew louder. "How could she not find a partner?" they asked. "Is she not worthy?" The laughter behind her back hurt more than any battle wound she had ever suffered. The people who once revered her now saw her as a figure of pity. The Council of Elders began to question her ability to lead. "Perhaps you have chosen the wrong path, Lyra," they said. "Perhaps you should focus less on power and more on finding a partner who can truly complement you." But Lyra would not be swayed. She would not let the galaxy dictate her choices. She had always made her decisions with the weight of her people on her shoulders, and she would continue to do so. However, she couldn't help but wonder if they were right. Was it possible that she had placed too much emphasis on power and not enough on connection? Had she been so focused on the future of her empire that she had ignored her own heart? Her thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of the next message. It was from an unknown source, an unexpected proposal. "Dear Princess Lyra," the message began, "I am Ethan, a humble ambassador from the human colony on the edge of the galaxy. I have heard of your strength and wisdom and would be honored to stand by your side, not for power or influence, but for the future you wish to create. I do not come with armies or fleets. but I offer you my heart, my respect, and my unwavering loyalty. If you will have me, I would be proud to be your partner." Lyra stared at the message in disbelief. A human? The humans were a fledgling species, still working to establish their place in the galaxy. Their power was insignificant compared to the mighty fleets of the alien empires she had dealt with. They were a young race, with no real military strength or political weight. At first, she dismissed the message, certain that it was a mistake, but something about the simplicity of the words, the quiet sincerity in Ethan's message, tugged at her heart. Unlike the other suitors, he did not promise power or wealth. He offered something more, a true partnership, one based on mutual respect and understanding. Lyra sat back in her chair, staring at the message for hours. She had been searching for a partner who could match her in strength, intellect, and ambition. But what if those things were not what she truly needed? What if, instead, she needed someone who could see her as a person, not just a ruler, someone who valued her heart, not just her empire? She hesitated, unsure of what to do. The galaxy would surely laugh at her if she accepted a human's proposal. It would be considered a scandal, a complete break from tradition. But Lyra was tired of following tradition. She was tired of living in the shadows of those who had rejected her. Maybe it was time to make her own choice, one that was not dictated by the expectations of others. And so, with trembling hands, she responded to Ethan's message. "I will not reject you." Ira's heart raced as she waited for Ethan's response. She had never felt so vulnerable, so exposed. For the first time in her life, she had opened herself up to the possibility of something more than power and control. Could a human truly be her partner? Could someone from such a distant young race understand the weight of her responsibilities, the struggles she faced daily? She paced the room, her thoughts swirling. The galaxy was watching her, waiting to see what she would do. If she chose Ethan, they would mock her. The other alien leaders, the ones who had rejected her, would call her decision foolish. The council would question her judgment, her leadership, her very worth. But as the hours passed, Lyra realized something. She was no longer willing to let the opinions of others define her. She had spent so much of her life living for others, fulfilling the expectations of her people, that she had forgotten to live for herself. The galaxy may not understand, but she had to be true to her own heart. And so, when Ethan's reply finally came, Lyra opened it with a deep breath. "Princess Lyra," the message began, "I am honored by your response. I do not come to you with armies or fleets. I come with only my heart and my word. I promise to stand by your side, not as a ruler, but as a partner. Whatever challenges we may face, we will face them together. You are not alone." Lyra felt a warmth spread through her chest as she read his words. There was no pretension, no hidden agenda, just a promise of loyalty and love. It was a stark contrast to the cold political alliances she had been offered. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace. But peace was fleeting, and soon reality settled in. Lyra knew that she could not ignore the practicalities of her decision. She could not simply accept Ethan without considering the consequences. She had to think of her people, her empire. Her marriage was not just a personal matter, it was a political one. A union with a human, a species with little to no power, could jeopardize everything she had worked for. The galaxy would see it as a weakness, a vulnerability. Despite these doubts, Lyra found herself drawn to Ethan in a way she had never been drawn to anyone else. There was something about his sincerity, his willingness to offer her a partnership based on trust, that resonated with her. For all her power and influence, Lyra had never known true companionship. She had never had someone who saw her as a person, not just a princess. Lyra knew she had to meet Ethan. They had to speak face to face. She could not make such a significant decision based on messages alone. But how would she explain her choice to the galaxy? How would she face the council, the people who had watched her every move, judged her every action? Days passed, as Lyra prepared for the meeting. She did not want to appear weak, but she also knew that she could not deny her feelings. As the time approached, she found herself both excited and terrified. She had never felt so uncertain about a decision before. She had always been confident in her choices, sure of the path she was taking. But now, with Ethan, she was unsure. Could a human truly be her partner? In every sense of the word. Finally, the day arrived. Lyra stood in the grand hall of her palace, waiting for Ethan to arrive. She had arranged for the meeting to take place in private, away from the eyes of the council and the public. She did not want to make a spectacle of herself. This was a personal matter, and she wanted it to remain that way. When Ethan stepped into the room, Lyra's breath caught in her throat. He was not what she had expected. He was tall, but not imposing. His presence calm and reassuring. His eyes were kind, warm, and there was no hint of arrogance in his demeanor. He wore simple clothes, nothing extravagant or grand. He was human, yes, but there was something about him that felt familiar, as though they had known each other for years. "Princess Lyra," Ethan said, his voice soft but steady. "Thank you for meeting with me." Lyra smiled, though she could feel her nerves beginning to settle. "Thank you for coming." "I'm glad we could finally speak face to face." They stood for a moment, unsure of what to say next. Lyra had spent so much time thinking about what she wanted, but now that he was here, she found herself at a loss for words. It was strange, having someone stand before her who wasn't trying to win her favor with grand promises or power plays. Ethan wasn't here to manipulate her. He was simply here, offering his support. "I know this is a difficult decision," Ethan continued, breaking the silence. "I understand the weight of it. You've carried the hopes of your people on your shoulders for so long. I'm not asking you to throw that away. I just want to stand beside you, to be with you, as an equal." Lyra's heart swelled at his words. An equal. That was something she had never had. Her entire life she had been surrounded by those who wanted something from her. Power, influence, resources. They never saw her as a person, just as a tool to be used. But Ethan saw her as more than that. He saw her as a person, as someone worthy of love and respect. "I'm not asking you to change anything," Ethan said, taking a step closer. "I'm asking you to allow me to walk with you, to face whatever comes, together. I don't have an army to offer you, but I have a heart that's willing to fight for you, for us." Lyra felt tears welling in her eyes, but she quickly blinked them away. She was not weak. She could not let herself be seen as weak. But in this moment, with Ethan standing before her, she allowed herself to feel vulnerable for the first time in a long time. "I've been told that I must choose a partner who will make me stronger," Lyra said softly. "Someone who can help me unite the galaxy." "But I've realized, maybe strength isn't what I need the most. Maybe what I need is someone who will support me when the battles are over. Someone who will stand with me not for power, but for something real." Ethan reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "That's what I want too," he said. "I don't want power. I want you." For a moment, Lyra said nothing. She simply stood there, holding his hand, feeling the weight of his words. She had spent so much time trying to please others, trying to live up to expectations. But now, for the first time, she was considering what she truly wanted. "I don't know what the future holds," Lyra said at last, "but I know that I want to find out with you." Ethan smiled, his eyes full of warmth and sincerity. "Then we'll face it together." As they stood there, hands intertwined, Lyra realized that this was not the beginning of a political alliance or a union forged for the sake of power. This was the beginning of something real, a connection, a partnership built on trust and understanding. And for the first time in her life, Lyra felt truly free.